Recently, people have been saying Twisted Fate is trash in patch 14.2. And just to show you exactly what I'm talking about, if you go in the stats for meta TFT, you can see that Disco Twisted Fate has dropped a lot. It went from 4 point something, like 4.1 average, 4.2, all the way down to 4.6, which means it's underperforming. Remember, anything that's above 4.5 means that it's bad. Anything below 4.5 means it's good. As you can see here, the win rate, it should be 12.5% if it's a balanced comp, just statistically speaking, but it's only 10%, and the top 4 rate is really abysmal. That's probably just because if you don't hit Twisted Fate, it's even worse now because he's pretty much nerfed. So is Twisted Fate still viable in patch 14.2? Well, today I'm going to be reviewing one of my games where I went first place in Diamond and Master Elo. I'll basically be going over what I did in the game and show you if it's okay to play Twisted Fate in your specific spot. So yeah, let's just get started. So starting this game here, we got Prismatic Prelude. Pretty much just one of the portals that a lot of people like to go for if you like to play Prismatic on your first augments. So yeah, let's just quickly go through this PvE round. I'm also going to be playing these VODs in 1.5 speed because I think playing it at 1 speed is a little bit too slow. So here I get dropped a Bard pair as well as a Kale, and also get a sword. Pretty much what I was thinking here was Nami and Bard. Pretty standard disco opener, maybe we'll get some disco units going. And we also get a Cassante headliner. I do believe I picked this up just because having a strong front line with some dazzlers in the back line is actually pretty good in the early game. I also got dropped a tier here, which gives us Shojin. So what I was thinking here is picking up Cassante, getting the 2 Bards here, and then Nami as our backline carries, putting the Shojin on Bard. Since we have a Bard pair, 2-star Bard with a good front line is pretty good in the early game. So yeah, I just played 2 Dazzler here, and then just waited for this creep round. And then here we also get dropped a glove. Picked up a Yasuo pair just in case we hit 2-star Yasuo or something. It's still a frontliner, kind of. Alright, so first augment here, we start off with Prismatics. So Talent Search on 2-1 is a very bad Prismatic augment because you don't really care about the headliner bonus for your units at 2-1 that much. It's good in the later stages of the game, especially something like KDA where you're playing a bunch of units together. But on 2-1, I just wouldn't recommend taking this augment. And then we have Cursed Crown. So Cursed Crown is just one of those augments where you only play it if you have a really specific spot for it. Otherwise, this augment just causes you to lose. And then Birthday Present, I don't think is very good right now. There's a lot of reroll going on. This augment does become better when you play it with a gold opener, or if you have something like Crab Rave or Scuttle Puddle. Otherwise, I just wouldn't take Birthday Present. So I reroll, and I hit Prismatic Ticket, Cybernetic Bulk, and Spoils of War. So immediately, I just think Spoils of War. And the reason for this is because I have a Shojin with a Bard and a 2-star Cassante. I was also considering taking Bulk 3 just because I can put the glove on Cassante, make him tankier, and then the Bard can also have 500 HP with Shojin. So I was considering Spoils of War or Bulk. Ticket, Prismatic Ticket, I just don't think is very good unless you play a reroll. And even then, I don't even think it's that good. Ever since they nerfed this to 45%, I just don't recommend taking Prismatic Ticket anymore. So yeah, here I took Spoils of War just because I thought I could secure a lot of kills with the Bard and a Shojin. And then here, I hit a 2-star Yasuo. I was thinking of just leveling and selling, but then I thought, okay, I don't want to sell this Bard, so I'll just sell Nami, level, play a 1-star Yasuo. If we win the fight, then we pick up 2-star Yasuo. So luckily here, we face a level 3, and we just get our free win, so we can pick up the 2-star Yasuo. So yeah, pick up the 2-star Yasuo, pick up this Taric as well, just in case. I think Bard tips gold there. And then here, I decided to play this instead for 2 true damage. Dazzler is fine in the early game, but I think this setup is a little bit stronger because we have the Cassante and the Yasuo. And then we also put the Blink bonus on the Yasuo. The Bard will be healing our front line, dealing decent damage. So I think this is a pretty decent board in the early game. And then here we just continue to play our rounds here. We get some Spoils of War loot, which is also the reason why I wanted to take this augment. Get some pretty good loot. Alright, and then next round, I hit this Super Fan Cannon. I don't decide to pick it up because I think 2 Sentinel is better here, especially with the upgraded frontline. And besides, I didn't even pick this up because I don't even have Super Fan. If I had a 2-star Lilia, I might have taken it, but I think the Cassandra here is a lot better with 2 Sentinel. Okay, the next round here, we fight a Death Cap, rated Death Cap Lulu. We don't win this just because we don't have enough damage. And I do believe I make 10 gold here by either selling this Kale or farming enough gold from Spoils of War. A big reason why I took Spoils of War here as well is just because I like to make interest in the early game. And Spoils of War really helps you do that. Okay, so I sold the Tarek and the Kale and I picked up the Nami pair. I think I really valued the 2-star Nami. So off of Carousel, I think I was going for Rod here. For this Nico. Because when you have an open glove and you have a Shojin, you want to try to make something like JG or something. Although in this game, I think I slammed Rageblade, and I'll show that in a little bit. Here I play Force Sentinel, and I was just thinking double Bard or something, or maybe Force Sentinel Yasuo. I don't think you play Nami here because Nami's a 1-cost student. She's not very good. I think it's Force Sentinel. I think it's the correct decision here. So I just put the Rod on the Bard. Luckily, we just fight a Hearthstone cash out, so we're not in any danger here. Basically, in the early game, stacking up the Spoils of War. I do get dropped a bow here. So when you play Twisted Fate, what you do with a bow usually is you can make Nashers. But I think ever since Twisted Fate's change, you always want to put Archangels on him now. I'm not saying that Nashor's Tooth is a bad item, but I do believe that you want to put Rageblade on him now, but in order for him to use Rageblade well, you also need Archangels. So I think Twisted Fate is still pretty good, but you need Shojin, Rageblade, Archangels. That very specific build. Because I think looking at his data, that's his best build. If you look at his other items like JG, Nashor, Shojin, they just don't seem very good. And that's probably just because of the nerfs. And here I slam Rageblade just because I want to win this fight. I also want to ruin this person's streak, so that's also why I slammed it. And yeah, we barely managed to win this fight. It was very close. We got it. Ruined their streak. Got some gold. So at this point here, we are level 5 with 27 gold. We can make 30 just by selling some of these units here, switching our board out. I sold the Yasuos and I just wanted to make some gold here. And yeah, just see what our Krug's item is and build our game plan in the mid game. So we hit 2-star Bard from the pair from the Krug's here. And so my items here are not looking that great. I actually don't remember what I did with this bow. I guess I'll find out. I think I slammed Shiv, and then this glove I made into Cephas Heart. In the previous patch, I think slamming JG on this Bard here for Twisted Fate later is fine. But I don't know, ever since Twisted Fate's changed, you really just want Archangels on him, otherwise he just doesn't do enough damage. So we had 2-star Bard, an upgraded frontline, and so I was really thinking for the mid game we should be okay. If we lose, it's not going to be by many units. I think this was the only heavy loss I took in stage 3. Okay, so then the next augment here is Prismatic. Once again, double Prismatic. So I was thinking immediately just Lucky Gloves because I have an open glove that I'm not going to use. And then I also was thinking Pandora's items, but then I thought, okay, Pandora's items, I don't really want it anymore because I got offered Lucky Gloves. Otherwise, I think Pandora's would have been fine here. Uplink is good for Twisted Fate now because if you want to, I mean, it's always been good on him because you want him to cast as often as possible. But just looking at these options here, my immediate thought was just Lucky Gloves just because I have an open glove. So I reroll Pandora's, and then I was considering taking Final Ascension because what Twisted Fate lacks now is just damage, but if you can manage to ramp up with him and keep him alive, then basically he'll just win out any fight. Pretty much any fight, as long as your team stalls long enough. Binary, I was thinking about this as well, but then I thought, okay, it's still 3-2. I don't have that many items right now, so I think it's fine not to take it. So I just got lucky gloves here, took it, and put these gloves on. I believe it was Cassante and Set. So we got a tank item. And I was thinking of Echo or Set, but I just put Set because of Bruiser. So now we have Bard with an even better front line. And this guy can wrap up with Rage Blade. Pretty much just keeps your team alive. And then, well, my next plan was to get Archangels on this Bard here, just so he could ramp up. That's pretty much the whole point of the Disco comp. You want to just ramp up and outscale your opponent in the fight. If you can't do that, then pretty much Twisted Fate just really sucks now. I think here we don't win because it's Twin Terror. Even after the adjustments, it's still not a balanced augment. So we just lose. Here we don't hit anything. We're just waiting for the next round to start. I also do believe that I was looking to play the 3 Disco here, if possible. I just never hit the Taric again until a while later, so we just stuck with the Sport. 3 Sentinel looks pretty dumb, but try to make the best board you can. Here we hit a Lesser Nico from Spoils of War. Bard also tips some gold. So we're level 6, 50 gold. Very rich here. I was looking... Okay, I remember this carousel now. I was very confused because there was no rod. There was only 1 tier and there was also no belt. There were also no gloves. So yeah, that's stage 3 carousel. Sometimes it could just have a component that you're not looking... It just can't have a component that you're looking for. So sometimes you have to try to plan around that. So here, we get tier. And then I was really just hoping for a rod by Wolves here. I level just to play for Sentinel. And then I make Shiv. Now the reason I made Shiv here was just because I wanted to save HP. I knew how important Archangels was. But I think basically slamming Shiv here allows you to deal damage. Because Bard's not the best damage dealer. He can do some damage, but if you have Shiv, it becomes a lot easier. And so pretty much, I just wanted to keep my tanks alive, make the enemy team take more damage. I didn't want to bleed in stage 3 here. And then I was also considering picking up this Lux here. I think I do. I saw the Cassante pick up this Lux, just put the TG on her. Even though I don't have EDM in, it's still for Dazzler, so I think it's fine. I replaced that to play 3 Disco for Dazzler. And then pretty much just frontline the Taric with the TG on Lux. The reason why I kind of hesitated there was because I was considering playing Lux reroll as well. But then I just decided I'll just use her as my item holder. Give Twisted Fate a try. And then we also get a sword from the Spoils of War. So we're getting a lot of components, a lot of gold from Spoils of War. Very good in this comp where you want to itemize multiple units. And then here we're just waiting for Wolves. I also held on to this Karthus and this Viego just in case. I decided to play Pentakill as well. To be honest, I don't really know what to do with this Rage Blade in that comp. I guess it's okay on Karthus, but there are obviously better items. So here, I'm going to pause real quick. So we hit these items here. What I immediately thought was Archangels, and then this here would be Crown Guard, and then this sword and this cloak can be other flux items or other units. I think I use this sword for Shojin for Ziggs later. So let's play the game plan, and here we hit a Twisted Fate. So at this point, when I hit this Twisted Fate, I really thought, okay, I might just forget about Pentakill, especially with the Rage Blade we have here. So I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, what can I do with these items here? I end up slamming Crown Guard on Garen here, just so we can put it on a different unit in the late game. I also believe in this game, I roll on 4-2. So next turn, it's either 4-2 or 4-5. Nobody else goes Twisted Fate anymore because it's super uncontested. My general rule is if you're high HP, you don't have to roll on 4-2 unless you're rich. And okay, so let's quickly pause here for augments. Parting gifts, I think is pretty good, especially with all the lucky gloves we have. Item grab bag is okay. But the thing is, my items are already pretty good, so I didn't take item grab bag. I was really just thinking harm resist because, like I said earlier, in the Twisted Fate comp, you pretty much just want to stay alive as long as possible. And when you stay alive as long as possible, sometimes your Twisted Fate can just randomly die to some things, but if you have things like harm resist, he could just heal back up. This is also silver harm resist, so if it doesn't do anything, if it doesn't serve any purpose, it's just a silver augment, and honestly, getting some healing is always fine on your carry. It's like having a Hodge without any of the other stats. Hodge is 15% Omni-Man, this is 10%, so you do heal a little bit with harm resist 1. So I skip over parting gifts, and we get offered rolling for days and uplink 1. Since I already have Shojin or Rageblade, I thought to myself, okay, I don't need uplink anymore. And then rolling for days, I'm already super rich, I'd rather just take a combat augment instead. So I just go for harm resist. I had to think about it for a moment between uplink and harm resist, but then I just took harm resist. So here we hit Thresh. So I decided to just replace it with Garen. And then here we're fighting Twin Terror again. Pretty sure we lose this just because the Lux snipes this Twitch over here instead of the other units. We also don't have EDM in. So 12 HP, that was a pretty heavy loss. But we're just gonna sack the next 2 rounds here. Or actually, okay, so I know I said rolling for 5, but just because I took Spoils of War, and I was very close to level 8 anyway, that's why I decided to roll on 4-3. You pretty much never want to level and roll on 4-3 unless your econ is really good for it. Because I took that heavy loss as well, that's also why I decided to roll on 4-3 here. But the standard rolling intervals are 4-2 and 4-5. Don't do it on 4-3 unless you have the gold for it. In this case I did, otherwise I wouldn't recommend doing it normally. Now here we hit a second Twisted Fate, and then we just roll, we hit TF2. So then I roll and I hit this Bruiser Zac. So what I'm thinking here is just put the TG on the Zac here, just for a temporary holder. I'm gonna look for either Disco TF, Dazzler TF, or Disco Blitz. I think both are fine. And then just pretty much move these bard items over to Twisted Fate. So that's exactly what I do. I just TG'd this guy. I sold the Thresh, I'm not sure why I did that. Even though I just replaced them right after. But yeah, forget about the Thresh selling. I don't even think I played Thresh on my board late game anyway. But yeah, we just settle with Shojin and Rageblade. So as you can see here, Twisted Fate's not looking very strong, even with double item, 2-star. So that's really the thing about this comp now, you really need Archangels. Also, another thing I forgot to mention was from Spoils of War, I also got a Ziggs. That's just a coincidence, I guess. The game knows I'm playing Dazzlers or something. So up carousel here, we have an open rod. I really want to go for Cheer to make it Archangels. I do believe Death Cap is fine on Twisted Fate, but like I said earlier, you really want to ramp up with this guy. You need very specific conditions to make him good now, which does not seem very good. And also Tear gets taken, so we just take Bow. I think I was planning on making Giant Slayer, worst case scenario. So here we play Ziggs. I was also thinking of just dropping the rest, playing for Dazzler here. And then we just frontline these 2 units here, so the rest of our team can get disco value. I think in the previous patch, if you were to slam Giant Slayer, it'd be fine here. But I actually think without Archangels, Twisted Fate is really bad now. So even with Rageblade, Shojin, Giant Slayer, I think it's really bad. You really want Archangels. This guy can just ramp up and clean up the fights. So here, I believe we win just because Twisted Fate ramps up enough. It's a pretty scary big shot setup that the opponent had here. And then with Spoils of War, I just have so much gold, I can just shoot straight to level 9. That's exactly what I do, just pump levels. And then, yeah, just hoping we get a rod off of After Sheer. I also use the Lesser Nico on Set because I do believe I stick with Set until I hit Alawi. So double Bruiser frontline, 4 Bruiser here is really good with Twisted Fate. I also moved Twisted Fate 1 hex over because I think there was an Akali player. Even with Harm Assist 1, he's still vulnerable, so I just decided to move him over. I don't remember if I win this fight. Looks like I do. Also, one thing to mention is the Alawi tentacles can actually drop Spoils of War loot. So if you're ever playing Spoils of War and you kill an Alawi tentacle, it can drop a loot. It's a pretty funny interaction. Okay, now I remember. I don't win this fight just because this Caitlyn rolled BT. So it's just unlucky. And yeah, here, just waiting for raptors, pumping levels here. Going level 9, I believe on 5-1 or 5-2. Either one. So here I'm also thinking, I have so many swords, what am I going to do with it? I have to make Giant Slayer. There's nothing else I can really do with the swords. I guess I could play Yorick on my board, make BT or something, but that's far away. And then, yeah, so pausing here, looking at my items. Triple sword, double bow, and then there's also spark in an open tier. So we hit the tier. I decided to make Archangels. But I decided to roll first and fix my board before I slam items. I think that's one important thing to do when you're trying to go level 9 and roll or something. Fix your board first, then put your items after, because you don't want to put your items in the middle of the round when you have time to roll, get your board going. You can always put items in the middle of the fight. So if you watch a lot of other high-level gameplay, they always roll first and then they place their items. I have a habit of placing my items first, but I'm trying to break it. Pretty much you just have more time to do things when you have your items afterwards. Then here we hit a Blitzcrank, so we can play 6 disco, 5 disco, 2 disco balls here. And pretty much, yeah, now we fix our items. I'm thinking here just double Giant Slayer on this guy. And then Shojin, we hit from the anvil. So with this setup here, Twisted Fate has triple item, they scale off of each other. So now he's able to do a lot of damage, even after all of his nerfs. Now that we're level 9, I'm pretty much just trying to play 2-star Blitz or something. Look for Disco, and we find it here, replace it, 6 Disco. I keep 2 Bruiser in, I do believe I replace that with Alawi later, when she's 2-star. And yeah, we have double frontline with really good items from Lucky Gloves. With Twisted Fate, who ramps up. The Shiv's not very good anymore because we have Ziggs, but I mean, it's still a Shiv. And with Twisted Fate ramping up here, you can see that he's able to deal with these fights pretty easily. But as you can see here, Twisted Fate, this is a very high roll spot. We have an upgraded Twisted Fate board. We also hit the Sona. I drop Hyper Pop for that for now. And I'm just looking to play Alawi instead of sets. I do believe in some of these fights they're still pretty close despite how high roll our spot is. Despite how strong our board is. The Twisted Fate pretty much just doesn't hit as hard as he used to. Hit another lesser Nico here. Twisted Fate dies, but the rest of our team cleans up here. I think the real star in this comp is actually Ziggs, not Twisted Fate anymore. So Twisted Fate on his own, if you just don't hit Ziggs, if you don't hit Sona, you don't hit Alawi, it was like that last patch where if you just didn't hit those units, Twisted Fate wasn't very good. The thing is, now you get extremely punished for it. So, well, I don't know. It feels like if you play Twisted Fate, everything has to align, otherwise it's just not very good. Here I hit Dragon's Claw. I decided to itemize the Gragas, just so we can move the items over to Alawi later. I do believe I put the TG on Sona later. So, yeah, this is just our board right now. Just trying to get some econ back up. And so here we fight a standard Samira Country comp. Looks like we're okay just because Pacific ramps up. But as you can see there, that was a standard country comp level 7. Alright, so going back here, you can see this is a level 7 country comp. We are level 9 with a 2-star Ziggs, 2-star Twisted Fate, Biss, double upgraded frontline. And you could see, I mean, we don't have any combat augments, that is completely fair. But you could see that our team pretty much almost loses to this fight, as you saw earlier. So, I don't know. Even with a board this upgraded, we almost lost this fight. So it kind of goes to show you Twisted Fate is not very good right now, even if you have a pretty high roll spot for it. Did Riot over nerf Twisted Fate? I think they did. Also there, I just used the lesser Nico on set just to get some extra gold. There's no other 3 cost I can Nico anymore. And then here we hit Alawi. I decided to sell the set. I actually, in this specific case, I actually believe that 2-star set is better. But I don't know. I don't know for sure. So now I'm looking to find another Gragas, and then we pretty much find Alawi, put the owners on her instead. Also, we lose this fight because the Dutch stunned that Twisted Fate at the end. And then 2-star Sona. Also, I don't know if you saw in the previous round. I'm pretty sure I would have won this fight if the lucky gloves didn't glitch out. You can see Sona has Steadfast Heart and even Shroud. I don't know, I guess it's just a bug. Because I have lucky gloves, she should get her recommended items. I mean, I'm not sure if she got good items, if that would have changed the fight. But just looking back at this fight as well, you can see this person, they have lucky gloves as well. They look pretty strong, but their backline is mostly just 1-star, and we still lose this. So I don't know how to feel about that. Okay, here we hit 2-star Sona, and then she gets her proper TG items. And then here, just waiting for Dragon. So here, I get a 3rd tank item for Alawi, then try to find another Gragas, just sell him, put the items on Alawi. Take a Adaptive Helm here. I think Crown Guard would have been fine, but I already had a Crown Guard. And then here we hit 2-star Alawi. So now we just have to hit another Gragas. We hit, sell the Gragas, put the items on the Alawi. Also at this point, I separate the disco balls. I move my units over this way. Kind of just improvise this round, but pretty much you want to split your units, one side on the other, just in case one of your carry dies, and then the other one could clean up. Twisted Fate or Ziggs both ramp up with disco. And then you can pretty much just clean up the fight. It dropped another sword because the game wants me to have infinite swords. And then yeah, at this point it's pretty much just a positioning game. There's nothing really else we can roll for. We could potentially go level 10, but it looks like the game's almost over. So I just put Blitz on the same side as Twisted Fate here, and then Alawi on the same side as Ziggs. Put Sona next to Ziggs. Pretty much just protect our carries on separate sides, just to make sure that if one goes down, the other one can survive and clean up the fight. So as you can see here, Yone gets stuck on the Alawi. Ziggs ramps up, cleans up. So yeah, even with level 9 capped out board with Twisted Fate, we almost lost to the 3-star Yone. Now I'm not sure if that's just because Yone is really good or if Twisted Fate's really bad. Honestly, I just think it's because Twisted Fate's really bad. I don't even think Yone is that impressive anymore. He's still clearly very good, but I just think we almost lost that fight, or it looked very close just because Twisted Fate's really bad right now. Even with a, I keep saying this, but even with a really high roll spot, it just looks like it's not very good. And then here we just win. I just think it's because it's a ghost. And then here it's a top 2. Off carousel here, I don't remember what I go for. I think I go for Spellweaver just to give my team more AP. I would have taken Lucky Gloves there actually, but yeah, we hit the Spellweaver. I think I win this round and then the game's over, but if, let's just say I lost this round, I just would have went level 10, played 2 Guardian or something. Would have been Thresh or Yorick. I was also considering going damage because I have the death cap persona here. But I decided to go with healing instead of the attack speed one. Because we're fighting 3-star Yone again. I just want to keep my team alive as long as possible. That's why I went for the healing version on Sona. It actually worked out really well. So yeah, this was just a win. Ziggs is the only survivor, first place. So yeah, that's Twisted Fate. I'm not sure if he's just unplayable right now. Just based off the stats, he just doesn't seem very good. But if you have a high roll spot like this, I guess you can still play him. I did play a few games and I saw other people take things like Double the Funk and pretty much just try to play Twisted Fate like last patch. And it just did not go well for them. I haven't seen anybody top 4 with Disco TF in my lobbies recently. So yeah, that's pretty much just Twisted Fate right now. Is he still good? Yes, I guess if you have a high roll spot. Otherwise, No, just stay away from the champion. They need to rebuff him or they need to nerf other things. Otherwise, yeah, Twisted Fate just does not seem very good right now.